Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Elune here, and welcome back to each one of it. Of course, if you are new to the channel, thank you so much for joining us. I am very happy to have you here. In today's video, we are taking a look at Elune. If you want my deep dive analysis on Elune, however, you can click the link right there in the top right hand corner. That will take you to the deep dive analysis. This video is about the narrative behind the cinematic. So we're taking a look at the story that led up to this moment. Now, we have your time in mind whenever we make videos like this one, so check the timeline. You will see that it is divided into different chapters. Each of those chapters you can click to if you feel like that is the most relevant thing for you. I would suggest you watch all of it, but it's not my life, therefore I will not tell you what to do. With that said, there's one final small matter that we have to contend with, and that is the like button. It is the tax for all of these videos. It's free. You hit the like button once and YouTube's algorithm goes, oh, I should show this video to more people. So if you want to help out, hitting that like button is the best way to do so. And of course, Alex will also put up a funny meme right now on the screen. Alex, you're on the spot. Let us laugh, bro. That's the gift for hitting the like button. Bruh. Today's video, of course, is brought to you by, well, us, Patreon. If you want to support the channel, you want exclusive content, behind the scenes footage, you want maybe a podcast every single week that dives into the lore of World of Warcraft in footage that will almost never be seen by anyone else. Almost, because sometimes those discussions can inform new videos, but you'll be able to see the raw discussions as they happen, or you just want early access to all of our content. It is all over on Patreon. So join the revolution today, click that link, become a patron, and have fun. Let's get into the video. Our first chapter is actually a very short one. It is the origins of Elune as it was envisioned by Metzen. Metzen is, of course, the person who created Elune, and his wish, his dream for Elune would be that she is basically an obscure goddess. Players will never learn about her, they'll never know anything about her. She will basically be ever present within the background. If something needs to happen that you don't have an obvious way to make it happen, Elune could be the tool that makes it happen. But Metzen never wanted the players to learn about Elune. Now, of course, it's clear that modern day World of Warcraft writers do not share that vision. They seem to really want Elune in the story. Is Elune going to feature past this cinematic? I don't know. None of this makes sense, right? So Blizzard brought Elune in, but if history is anything to go by, it's probably going to be a couple of expansions before we really see Elune again. They've basically just introduced her to us now. But I thought it was interesting and important to sort of go to where Elune was always meant to be, to where Elune is now within the story. The emotional impact of the cinematic. We have to talk about this. What was the emotional feel, the intended feel, and then what is the emotions that were sort of transferred to the player? Well, it's very clear that in the cinematic, Blizzard wanted to go for a very heavy, very heartstrung, very very, very emotional cinematic. So what exactly was conveyed to the player? The answer is not that. It is from the get-go, I was sitting there going, I am experiencing some emotions, but I don't think these are the emotions that Blizzard wanted me to experience. Blizzard really wanted me to care about the Winter Queen and their suffering, calling out to Elune. They wanted me to care about Elune, also suffering because she couldn't save them. But at the end of the day, the only person in that entire cinematic that I felt anything for was Tyrande, because it's the only character in that cinematic that I have any sort of rapport with. It's the only character that I can feel any connection to. This is why, one of the reasons at least, why the cinematic is such a narrative disaster. Because the cinematic was meant to be extremely emotional, but Blizzard never allowed me to care about any of the characters in this cinematic. The Winter Queen, I had no interaction with the Winter Queen whatsoever that was meaningful enough for me to say that I actually care about the Winter Queen. Ardenweald, if Ardenweald went to shit tomorrow, I would not care. There would genuinely not be a fiber in my being that would go, oh, much sad, right? Because I wouldn't be sad. No one has given me a reason to care about this. And it's not that there isn't reasons. From a lore perspective, I can fully understand why I should care about it. But this is the failure within Blizzard's writing. Blizzard decided to write this elaborate story, but at no point did they think, wait, maybe we should include the player in the story? Maybe that's an important aspect of our storytelling, that the player also feels included. So the story happened, the player wasn't taken on the journey, and for the first time ever, World of Warcraft is dealing with characters that we've never actually interacted with. And now the storytelling in World of Warcraft becomes a really big problem. You see, because in prior expansions, we interacted with characters that we've known, characters that have been with us for a very long time. So Blizzard didn't have to set up an emotional connection. The emotional connection was already there. Shadowlands deals with characters and worlds that we have never interacted with. The first time we heard about them was at the beginning of this expansion. And Blizzard's failure, and this is not a new failure, by the way, this is a failure that's been coming for a long time, but Blizzard's failure to tell a story in such a way that they create emotional rapport between the characters and the players is now showing more vividly than ever before. The build-up. Let's talk about everything that led up to this moment within the cinematic and why the entire narrative for World of Warcraft is just simply a mess. Let's start with Sylvanas, because a lot of what happens in the cinematic was driven much by Sylvanas. But as the story have unfolded, and I realize that I'm dealing with multiple cinematics here, but the story that's now being unfolded, that's been unfolding in front of our very eyes, is one that makes me question the burning of Teldrassil, the blowing up or basically poisoning of Lordaeron, the entire war that Sylvanas started, the binding of Aegir, the deal with Helia. None of these things have been explained in the game in any sort of meaningful way. None of these things seem to make sense on the face of it. You might say, but Akalon, Sylvanas really needed souls for the maw. Well, to that I would say, if Sylvanas truly wanted souls, why would she stop at Teldrassil? Why wouldn't she march on Stormwind next, or maybe on the Eridar, right? She could very easily march on the Draenei. It's not called the Eridar. Why am I calling it the Eridar? No. Why does she march on the Draenei? The Draenei is also long-lived. They should have a lot of anima within them. Yet, she did not march her armies to the Draenei. Instead, she blew up Teldrassil, well, for no particular reason that I can discern, at least, because from there it seems like the Alliance and the Horde is sort of wrapped in this war, this battle between the two factions, but none of this makes sense. Sylvanas wants Aegir because she wants to make more Forsaken, because the Forsaken will die out because they can't procreate. Okay, we follow that, but then you also decide to basically fuck the whole world and go work for Zuval, which would mean that everyone dies out. What is the purpose of half of these things? Why? And I'm not saying that there isn't a purpose, just to be very clear. There might be a purpose. The problem is that Blizzard is not informing us of this purpose. Let's shift our focus to Tyrande and the Night Warrior. Tyrande accepts the power of the Night Warrior because she is angry, she has hatred in her heart, she wants to defeat Sylvanas. She wants Sylvanas to pay for what she had done. We finally, after many a month, see Tyrande and Sylvanas face off. Sylvanas gets away. The very next moment, Tyrande forgives Sylvanas. Well, she doesn't really forgive her, but she accepts renewal rather than vengeance. How did this happen? And again, I'm not saying that there isn't a reason it could have happened, but how? Why am I as the player not taken on the journey? Why do I not see the thought process of Tyrande as she's coming to the decision to no longer take vengeance? I am asked to simply believe that she did, with no involvement from my side, no ability to understand why she would have done that, and every reason anyone could come up with for why she would have done that is speculation, because the truth is you don't know. You're simply thinking, well, this is probably why they're doing it. And we can go to Ghain at Orgrimmar. Ghain at Orgrimmar was starting, at least in some small way, starting to push a very interesting narrative within within World of Warcraft. Gain wasn't happy with the fact that Saurfang was defeated. He did not believe that that was the payment that the Horde needed to pay for what they had done at Lordaeron. He thought that more was required, which led us down this speculation theory of, ooh, Tyrande and Gain may team up, maybe even against Anduin, to try and exact revenge. All of this in a single cinematic simply given up on. Just going, nah, screw it. We have different stories that we want to tell now. I'm sorry, but what? So much of this cinematic requires us to suspend our belief, suspend our disbelief. We just have to accept that Tyrande would forgive now. We just have to accept Elune's power level and whatever that power level may be. Because again, we are not informed. We are not taken on the journey. We're simply watching as this transpires in front of us. As all of this now plays out, we are simply the one sort of seeing as this transpires, but we're not part of it. So throughout that entire cinematic, I was genuinely sitting there going, I don't know. I don't understand half of this. I'm not saying that these are retcons. I'm saying these are failures for Blizzard's writing. Now, I will tell you what I think is going on here, because it seems to be a recurring theme within Blizzard right now. The original vision for World of Warcraft was never to be a battle between good and evil. It was a battle between two factions that had good and evil within them. New Blizzard, the new writing team, seems all too happy to portray the Horde as these evil characters, the evil faction, where evil festers unless they really control themselves, right? So the Horde really, you have to be very careful of the Horde, so to speak. Whereas the Alliance are constantly played as these goody two-shoes that can do no wrong. This is why whenever a story becomes moderately interesting within the Alliance, you had Jaina's story where she hated the Orcs and then somehow just forgave them for no good reason once again. You have Tyrande now hating Sylvanas, hating the Horde for what they've done. And again, she just forgives. She forgives and forgets. It's not a problem. Why? Why are these stories so contradicting? Why is it that the Horde never gets the, oops, sorry, I forgive everyone? The Horde is always the one that needs to be forgiven. And the leaders of the Horde is always the ones that are incredibly evil in their actions. But the Alliance gets none of that. The Alliance is treated with these gloves. That doesn't make for good storytelling, Blizzard. If you really believe that the Horde is evil and the Alliance is good, then come out and say it and write the story straight up as that. Do not pretend that the Horde and the Alliance are equal when every action that you take isn't that. And Alliance players themselves are starting to get angry. I've been on Reddit. I've seen the Alliance players going, why the fuck are we always forgiving them? Like, whenever they do anything, we're always the ones that have to forgive. What the hell is that, Blizzard? Stop doing it. Either write both sides equally as good, evil, everything that may be that a side makes, or go straight down the Horde is evil, Alliance is good. If you choose Horde, you're an evil person. If you choose Alliance, you're a good person. And just dive into that story. But what you're doing right now, you're asking players to suspend so much disbelief. Whenever stuff happens, the player just has to gobble it up, and that is not okay. Now, in a future video, most likely tomorrow, I will have a video which what I believe is the truth of what happened here, what I believe Elune used to be. And there's a bit of Zuval in there as well. I wanted to put it in this video, but that would make this video well over 20, almost 30 minutes long. And I try not to have that long of a video if I can help it, especially on topics like this one. So I will keep with the theme of this video. The Elune cinematic, the By Our Hand cinematic, is a narrative disaster. And it's a narrative disaster because of Blizzard's failings. It's because Blizzard themselves do not understand how you write a story like this. Their stories are far too intricate, far too confounded, and just far too dense to not be accompanied with very dense storytelling. In other words, the player has to be taken along every step of your story. You have to hold the hand of the player, and I don't mean that in a condescending way, but you have to take the player's hand and you have to guide them through the literal story that you're trying to tell, if this is the level of storytelling that you're trying to introduce to the game. In the past, you did it perfectly. You introduced major plot lines, macro storylines, and you allowed the player to sort of, on their own, navigate their way. You've clearly shifted from that with your insistence that this is the new way of storytelling, but nothing in your game has caught up. You ask us to do a bunch of pre-quests that basically involve busy work, killing a bunch of things for no fucking reason other than to kill them and keep us busy. And then the quests themselves do not really lead up to anything. The cinematic is the Big Bang. The problem is that the Big Bang can only help if there is something that went before it. If there was an actual fuse that was lit, that was building up, there was actual emotion building. The player was taken on this journey and looking forward to seeing the end result. The problem is that you have these Big Bangs, but they turn out to be poof. Just, okay, I don't know why I should really care about this. A good example of it is Sylvanas going, I will never serve. What are you talking about? Based on everything that we've seen in the story, thanks to your writing, Sylvanas has been serving this whole time. So to argue that I will never serve is again asking me to suspend disbelief. I have to just go, oh yeah, clearly she will never serve, because you never allowed me to see the story. So until you start writing in such a way that the player is involved in your story, you cannot tell these kinds of stories. They're too intricate, they're too convoluted, they're too dense, they're too difficult to follow because you do not allow us to follow it. So either change the way you write the story in the game or change the way you write the story. But you can't have it this way, where, you know, basically quests is fucking useless, they don't matter, but also the story doesn't matter because the quests do not complement the story, right? So Blizzard, this is not on. This entire cinematic basically nullified everything that happened before this. Everything was nullified. So many characters that could have made sense within the Shadowlands that just doesn't show up because you probably forgot that they even exist. Malfurion comes to mind here. Where is he? Why is Malfurion not within the Shadowlands? One would think that Malfurion should be here. I could go on for hours, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy videos like this one, remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and smash that bell that notifies you whenever I put up brand new content. Then to all of the patrons, thank you once again for your monthly contributions. It does mean the world to me. Thanks to you, this channel is still growing, and it's growing stronger every single day. I quite literally wouldn't be here without you, so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And then, of course, to all of the patrons, the Twitch subs, and the YouTube channel members, thank you for everything that you do for this channel. Without you, we wouldn't be here. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. As always, ladies and gentlemen, be kind to each other, be good to each other, and take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next one. Peace out, fam.